IRA specialist with New View Trust, and today we're going to discuss the power of collaboration and how joint ventures can work within a self-directed IRA. I appreciate everyone joining us today. Off the top, I do want to discuss with you, as we always start off each presentation, New View Trust serves as a custodian for alternative investments. New View does not provide tax, legal, or investment advice, nor do we sell investments. We custody IRAs, education savings accounts, health savings accounts, and 401ks that hold alternative investments purely chosen at the direction of our clients. What is a self-directed IRA? I get this question quite frequently with the conversations I have with clients. A self-directed IRA is an IRA in which the IRA owner directs all investment decisions. But the main thing to remember is self-direction is not it's not a type of IRA. It's purely a marketing term. A traditional IRA here is the same traditional IRA you're used to at one of the traditional houses out there. The benefits of self-direction, we always discuss. Diversification is not just asset diversification. It can be geographic diversification of your real estate portfolio, as well as geographical or within real estate. You can also diversify with different types of properties. You can buy raw land, you can buy vacant land, you can buy oil and gas rights, you can buy everything in between on that. So it truly is diversification, not just buying different assets on the same stock market. There's tax savings involved with the IRA investing. It's deferring the tax on traditional or eliminating any sort of capital gains tax on those Roth investments that you make. So you only pay money on a traditional account. You only pay taxes when you start pulling funds out of that account. And then Roth, you don't pay those taxes. You pay income tax when you put the money in, but there's no tax on the growth later on. And lastly, the benefit of self-direction is being able to invest in what you know best. You may be a realtor. You may know your local real estate market that much better. Why pay somebody to manage a stock portfolio when you can invest in what you know instead of paying somebody to invest in what you don't know? For 2024, I do want to touch on some of these limits have adjusted recently. So we want to make sure that you are aware that you can put more into that traditional IRA now, up to $7,000, $8,000 if you're over the age of 50. For those clients and those looking at some of the small business and self-employed plans that we offer, the solo 401k now has a limit of $69,000 with an additional $75,000 catch up. Naturally, as we've discussed in previous episodes, that comes with the personal contribution and that 25% match of the net proceeds of your company. That SEP IRA has that same $69,000, but it only is based on the 25% of the company of the company's net proceeds. I apologize. The simple IRA has gone up a little bit as well with that maximum annual contribution of that $16,000. And that one does have an additional catch up of $3,500 if you're over the age of 50. And then the education and health savings. Education hasn't changed any. The Coverdell hasn't changed. It's still that $2,000 annually. And then the health savings did just adjust slightly. An individual health savings account can save up to $4,150 annually, and then families can go up to $8,300 with an additional $1,000 catch up for over the age of 55. Slight difference with those health savings accounts. So I'll pause there. That talks about accounts and things like that. Amy, have we had any questions come in so far about kind of plans and what we offer and what those limits might be?
Not right now.
All right, awesome. Happy to answer. If you do have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat so we can cover those for you from there. So today, as we discussed earlier, we're going to talk about joint ventures. These are collaborations that you can do with your IRA. It can be another person's IRA. It can be another individual that's investing with personal funds. There's many different ways to do that. And ultimately, a joint venture is just an arrangement that allows IRA owners to pool their funds and invest collectively in a venture or project. And as we discussed, it can be formed with multiple IRA owners or with other asset investors as well. The types of joint ventures we typically see are real estate developments first. Basically, that's somebody either partnering to purchase a single family home, multifamily home, anything to that matter. Maybe a small business that's looking to sell part of their capital, or maybe do the labor, and you benefit from the proceeds of the business as the investor of that. But it may be a joint venture. It could be startups or other entrepreneurial opportunities. And then we see a lot of private equity investments out there. There are many different, but those most common are those real estate developments. The benefits of the joint ventures just gives you access to unique opportunities. There may be, investments that may be just out of reach if you're going in alone, and it gives you the opportunity to potentially purchase that property, purchase that investment, invest in that small business where you may otherwise not be able to with just your own account moving forward. That pooling of the resources and expertise can also create efficiencies where you have the one that specializes in the actual business, especially when you're investing in those small businesses. You may have the owner operator that does the day to day, and you're there just to handle the financial side of it, because it does have to be an arm's length investment. So it can kind of create those synergies there with other people's expertise, especially with real estate. There may be one person that's really good at the contractor side of it, and with personal funds they can actually work on that, whereas you, as the money, you can't physically work on that, but you may be the realtor, you might be a designer, you might be the person to handle that side of it. Gives you the ability to share the risk, right? It may be a lot to use 100% of your IRA nest egg to purchase a property or go into an investment. This gives you the ability to maybe use half of what you have and then spread that risk around. But also, the reward is ultimately, as Jason, our president, always says, the return of principal is always better than the return on principle. So the reward could be the fact that you're not putting as much out there. And yes, the reward, if you had done it all by yourself, might be higher, but that risk might have been that much higher. And then we just touched on the advantages of using that self-directed IRA, especially when it comes to short-term and long-term capital gains taxes not being fully applicable with IRA investments from there. Some things to consider: prohibited transactions. It's same rules in a joint venture and within a business are the same as it would be for an individual. You can't do, business with close family members and relatives. Can't do business with yourself. There's no self-dealing. Those sorts of things we've touched on many, many times, as always. And you can't purchase life insurance or collectibles. So that's paintings, anything like that. Once again, has to be an arm's length transaction, just like when we're talking about real estate. Can't live in it, can't work on it, can't do any of that side of it. But it can be something that maybe the other partner, if they're not using IRA funds, that could be something that's beneficial for you. And then, as always, you need to use a qualified custodian to hold that investment, which is where NewView comes in order to keep that advantage status for you. Other risks and strategies to consider: the regulatory compliance. You want to make sure you're speaking with qualified professionals to review these sorts of items for you, to make sure that it's set up in a way that neither party will get into hot water. Make sure you're doing your due diligence when you are selecting your partners, to make sure the person that you're getting into business with is somebody you want to get into business with from there. You want to make sure there's no potential conflict of interest. Obviously, you want to do your own due diligence also. Make sure there's no potential hazards in your way where you could potentially have to step in and operate the business, since that's something that you wouldn't be able to do from there. And then also, any good investment, you start with how to exit before you start investing. So make sure you go through all of your exit strategies. and then also plan for whether how liquid that potential investment may be, whether it's going to be creating a regular source of income should any expenses come up, or if it's something where you're locked in, you're not getting out until the end of the project. Know what those strategies look like, the end times, the begin times, end times, and everything from that. Make sure you touch on all those legal and regulatory requirements when you structure your joint venture. Choose the right partners. We just touched on those sorts of things. Make sure you have defined roles and responsibilities. I think that's good for any business plan, any sort of operating agreement. Make sure you know what you're doing, and everybody has their own clearly defined roles. Somebody's role may be the operator, some role may be the capital raiser. There's many different ways, especially on some of the models. You'll have clearly defined roles: the operator of the business, the capital raiser, the investment relations type role. Those different roles are going to be important throughout the life of that investment, especially if you're bringing on additional investors, to where you may want to make sure everybody has their clearly defined roles. They're assigned to what they're good at, and everything from that, just like with any business. And then also, like I said before, consult qualified professionals, whether that's a tax attorney, tax accountant, anything to that side of it. Make sure it's set up properly. You have a good operating agreement with clear ownership guidelines, and make sure you set it up in a fashion that is going to also can maintain those clearly defined roles for you. A few tools and resources. Obviously, NewView is an IRA custodian. Obviously, if you need that, or you will need that if you're going to do a joint venture with your IRA, and we can walk you through some of those potential items from there. Speak with legal and financial advisors. We just touched on that. Tax professionals, attorneys, financial advisors. Those are important relationships to have before you get started. There's many different online platforms for joint ventures. So there may be people out there that are just looking for opportunities on either side of it, maybe an operator or somebody with the capital in order to make those joint ventures a reality. Build your network. That's a great resource. Local RIAs are great partners, especially if you're looking to do a joint venture in the real estate industry. Those local RIAs are invaluable when it comes to that. There may be people inside your network at those relationships. That's that in person. And then social media, there may be people in your sphere of influence through LinkedIn, other opportunities, local realtors, real estate brokers that may be able to put you in touch with additional people that are looking for somebody to do that joint venture with you for you. So just to recap, tips for success: make sure you're getting that professional guidance and consultation. Make sure you do thorough due diligence to make sure you know the ins and outs of this asset before you enter that joint venture. Make sure you have clear communication with your partners. You do that due diligence on the partners, and then know exactly what role each of your partners are going to be playing. And then also make sure you're staying on top of it. Don't set it and forget it. You want to make sure you're not jumping into a long-term joint venture and just letting it go and just hoping that somebody else is going to maintain it for you. So it's a quick topic. I wanted to do this brief overview here. Let me pause there. Once again, Amy, were there any questions that we maybe didn't touch on, or if it was an earlier question, we just want to refresh? We can do that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. There were a couple that came in. So the first one is, how do people manage risks associated with joint ventures?
Yeah, I think we touched on that a couple times, but just to reiterate, they manage those risks, one, by having partners in clearly defined roles that meet their expertise, and also note everybody has those clearly defined roles. They are also doing their due diligence on the property if it's a real estate investment, They're doing due diligence on the small business opportunity if it's an equity type investment on that into a private business. They're doing their research to make sure there's a market for the product at that point. So and then lastly, they're consulting those professionals, whether it's an attorney or a CPA, to make sure that the operating agreement that they're entering into covers all bases and make sure each party has their their own interests covered, should that ever be an issue. So great question. I think we touched on it, but it's great to have that recap there.
Great. And then we only have one more question. What are the main motivations behind companies forming joint ventures?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the main motivation is just being able to either spread the risk, having we touched on earlier diversification of investments. Some people may have a certain amount of money in their retirement funds or funds that are available to invest in. Some people may want to put all eggs in one basket, and some people want to put one egg over here and one egg over there and one egg over there, and it just allows those individuals to either diversify amongst multiple projects, multiple businesses, multiple properties, whatever that ends up being. So having that ability to diversify is the main reason. But then other times it may be that perfect investment, that great opportunity is just out of reach with just your assets alone. So by bringing somebody on that can either help purchase an investment property or purchase that available business, could put it over the top. Or if it's a property in a great location, you just don't have the budget to do renovations that it might need. It may be great to bring on a partner, a joint venture at that point, and get the maximum return on that investment. If it's the right property, you just don't have the cash available or the capital inside of your retirement account. So those are the two main things, Amy, I think, on those, in order to to answer that question, the two benefits, in my opinion.
Great. And those were all the questions that we have.
Awesome. Well, here's what to do next. If you're ready to move forward and maybe start your own joint venture, scan the QR code right there. And that'll take you to a landing page to schedule a free consultation with myself or any of my team members. We'll talk to you, find the best account that fits what your needs are. We'll get the account open, get the account funded, and then we'll make that introduction to the other teams upstairs to get those investments made at that point and start self-directing. So I do appreciate you guys, everybody here online, from attending today. We do appreciate it. As another reminder, we do have our AltsCon, our annual investor retreat, coming up in October. It's October 17th and 18th at the Marriott Orlando downtown, a little bit of a mouthful. If you use that promo code down there at the bottom, early 24, that'll knock $50 off of the ticket price. We have a lot of exciting opportunities there. We have some great speakers lined up from the keynote on down through all of our other asset classes that we'll be discussing there. So register. We hope to see you in October for AltsCon 24. And then stay up to date with NewView. You can scan that QR code, visit our website. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, or TikTok, or any of those other. There, we have a newsletter that goes out once a week that is great reading there for you to stay up to date with all of NewView's news and events. So we hope to see you there. Appreciate you stopping by today. And if there's anything you need, feel